Everybody's heard of scratch building, making something out of nothing. Most people think it's impossible, but I'm here to show you that it's not. Seeing how you can get fine models like these two from just starting from humble beginnings. In this episode I'll show you where I started from, and if you enjoy this episode I'll make some more of them showing how the processes work. To begin with, I want to show you my first ever attempt at scratch building. This is it. You may think, but that's a pile of rubbish. Well, of course it is. I made it when I was about 6. Essentially, it's a OXO cube box thrown outside with a bit more card shoved around there, with a paper clip shoved on the side and some Lego bricks shoved on the top. And then a face made out of Fimo, because why not? This was essentially free, all the stuff I got from rubbish or I had lying around the house. It's very simple. This wagon is just any wagon. On to my next foray into scratch building. Right, this is what I built next. It's a locomotive based on the locomotive called Gazelle. It was exhibited at Railfest 2012 and I just instantly loved it. It's an absolutely tiny loco in real person, and also here. If we just get a random figure from the bench, just sit it in there, you can see sort of the scale. Just any wagon which butts up to it, you can see how small the actual locomotive is. It's tiny. This was my very first attempt at scratch building with plasticard, and it's very simple. I'll leave a link in the description down below of EG Media's look at the Gazelle locomotive. So, onto my model. It's mainly plasticard construction, plasticard, and the chassis is made out of plasticard. The boiler is made out of dowel. The dome there is made out of a pen nib. So that bit there chopped off and filled with putty. The whistle at the top there is made from a paper clip once again. The funnel is made from a cocktail stick hit on the end with a hammer to create the more blunted round end to create the funnel shape. Any texturings made from DAS clay, DAS or DAS, just to give the finish, and also the side bits. Once again, this was probably made when I was about 12, so if you have any excuses, don't. Next up in my scratch building is this. This I built around 3 or 4 years ago when I was about 14, 15. It's my first attempt at actually building something proper out of plasticard. And I was trying to work out how this green putty would work. It's based on the J21 class from the London North Eastern Railway. It's built upon a generic Hornby 6-wheel chassis, built in 2 different parts. Get that, you shove it down, make sure that the pickups don't get caught. Then you get the boiler, you can just slide it straight on if it doesn't get caught. There we go. This project didn't finish because I had no way of doing the domes, or the funnel, or the buffers, or the front end. This is very hard in plasticard if you don't have any more tools. Next up is this. My North Eastern Railway snowplow, and it's my first venture into properly scratch building and finishing something with plasticard. It's only 2-tone colours, and it's a fairly simple design. First make that bit there, and then stick the front end on. To add texture, you just need to add little bits of plasticard to create detailing on the side. And inside, I like shaking around. I did fit a guy in there, but he fell off. One thing great with making snowplows is that you don't actually have to do any of the intricate detailing work around the side for springs and brake gear. You just have to do one flat flush side, which means you can make the underneath very, very simple. Just to get an easy one to take out. Nope. You just got drilled out 2 sets of bearings, then put the wheels in, and it seems to go. Remember to add ballast in, because otherwise it'll fling off the track at any moment you give it. The back, I think, is the most interesting part, as it included the only part from another kit. It's in fact just a really old triang bit with just the buffers, which I chopped off. Next up is my first attempt into scratch building with brass. So this is it. It doesn't look very brassy, but I can assure you it is. You can see in the corners and the back of there. There we go, that's some brass. So, made out of brass. This allows you to get really fine detailing in. Go through it. It's mainly sheet brass. I've used, once again, paper clips on the side there for the hand wires, and just make them out of fuse wire. The thing I like about this model is that the shaping is just so interesting. You've got the sides, and then it just bends around and just flops down there. Water filler cap. I made this. You can see my progress in the tools which I've got. That was made from a lathe, so I'll show you that in a later video. The front interesting bit there. Once again, little bits of paper clips, brass tube and a paper clip, and a pointy stick. Brass tube and a paper clip. These boxes were made out of brass and then just soldered up. But ultimately I have this model over here. This is based on Aerolite. It's at the National Railway Museum at the moment. However, this is the design that it was pre-1902, if I remember correctly, which was before it was rebuilt into a 224 configuration instead of a 422. One thing I really like about this model is the interior. Get you close in. That's just bits of wire, bits and bobs I had laying around the workbench. The little dials or circles up there are just places where solder's fallen off and just creates a perfect circle. Just make it interesting. See, one handrail's fallen off on the other side. You can see the handrails, they're just long track pins which I've stuck on there. It's more about planning the design rather than actually cutting and soldering it that takes the most time. And finally, last up, the piece de resistance of my wheel making so far is this. Wilson Wurzel, the Chief Mechanical Engineer of the North Eastern Railway, had great designs. I really liked his design, but he never ever made a 4042. So I decided to make one in his style. I basically designed sort of a Gladstone for the wheel arrangement. The thing I like with brass is when it's unfinished and you just get the shine. Underneath we have the chassis. This has been kit bashed from a Hornby Triang. I think it was a 4 chassis, but don't quote me on it. Then we have the actual bulk body of the locomotive. See, inside we needed to make sure there was enough space to fit in over the wheels, as the clearance is quite small. So small in fact it actually rubs when it runs, so I don't recommend it as a running model, and it just looks nice. Once again, brass sheet making most of it, paper clips making the handrails, and fuse wire goes into making the side bits. The interior of this is less intricate and less realistic. I had those small little circles, the leftover bits from the coupling rods, which I decided to stick on there because they look sort of good. The floor's made out of actual wood, it's just coffee stirrers. coffee stirrers from Costa Cafe, which I've nabbed. Once again, all the circular bits are made from a lathe. The buffers, the smoke box, the funnel and the dome are all turned from a lathe, which is quite fun. I recommend getting a lathe. I hope I've captured the Wurzel aesthetic. And finally the tender. This was just a shut and cut thing which I made because of the parts that I had. Unfortunately I don't have any springs, so I've gone without them. You've got the wheels which don't turn and they're just lying around. Problem is that they are fully connected all the way, so if you ever put this on your track it'll short. But once again, it's not actually for running, it's just a display model. Little bits of brass sheet bent around. This part was made in two separate parts, hence the seam down the middle there, but it looks sort of good. You tend not to notice it. It's again a little handrail made from paper clips. Hope you've enjoyed my tour through all my locomotives which I've built. If you have a favourite one, please leave your comment down in the description. I might do a more interesting video of how to make it yourself. And as you can see, the evolution of models goes from absolutely terrible and not very realistic to semi-realistic, but looks like its kid still made it, to quite good, surprisingly good for a 14, 15-year-old, then to pretty darn good with turns to brass, and also plastic card. Take it this way: as you grow up, you learn more skills. As you learn more skills, you'll improve. So you'll always get better. If you want any advice on more videos to make, please leave them comments down in the description. And bye for now.